This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When send past the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place to tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? A little bit late on that intro, but ladies and gentlemen, the ship be sinking. That's what it feels like right now, ladies and gentlemen. The ship be sinking. The Knicks have fallen to 2 games below 500. And it's getting desperate, ladies and gentlemen. It's getting desperate. The Knicks with a terrible start to this basketball game. Terrible start to the game. I didn't even see the entire first quarter. All I know is when I turned it on, they were down 30-10. And I was like, what the hell is going on? What the hell is going on? Ship is sinking, man. Ship is sinking. I don't know whether to laugh, cry, or be pissed off. I don't know. Whatever it is, doesn't really feel good. 2 games below 500, and we're getting ready to play Milwaukee and Golden State. That's who's coming up the next 2 games? That's who's coming up? Oh, man. I don't even know what to say with this one, man. When you look at the box score, I mean, the Knicks scored 87 points. The Raptors scored 90 points. I don't know, man. Let's take a look at the box score. Lines are open. Give me a call, 516-405-2246. I don't know what I think about it right now. I want to know what you think about it, though. RJ Barrett for the night, 19 points, 6 rebounds, 31% from the field, 28.6% from the three-point line. Okay, cool numbers, 19 points, but we didn't shoot efficiently. Same thing with Julius Randle. He only had 13 points, only shot 9 times this game. Of course, that zone. Professional NBA players, we can't figure out the zone. Julius Randle, 13 points, 14 rebounds, and 5 assists, along with 3 turnovers. 25% from the three-point line, only 44% from the field. Again, he only took 9 shots because of that zone. Because he can't figure out how to crack the zone. Now he's having even more trouble figuring out when is a good shot. I seen him in the first half of this game. Had a nice little pump fake, 2 dribbles, and he was wide open for the mid-range pull-up. He took 5 more dribbles to get inside and turn the basketball over. That was the first turnover, and then he came right down on the next possession and turned it over again. Raptors went back up to a 5-7-point lead or whatever it was. Understanding, bad shot selection is not always taking a bad shot. Sometimes it's not understanding when you have a good shot. And passing up a good shot or a slightly worse shot, that's also bad shot selection. Did that on a couple of occasions. In the second half, one time they found him the ball. They found him in the zone. He pivoted, turned around, and he had a lane to the basket. He kicked it out to Obi. This is a man who's not understanding where to find his shots in his zone or when to take a good shot. 9 shots. Nerlens Noel, I mean, you don't expect him to score. 6 points, 2 rebounds. Evan Fournier, 9 points, 2 rebounds. Alec Burks, 1 point, 0 for 7 from the field, 0 for 3 from the three-point line. He made 1 free throw. 5 assists, 5 rebounds. Mitchell Robinson, 4 points, 8 rebounds. Derrick Rose, 11 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Quickly, 5 points. Obi Toppin had a nice night. Or at least, his first double-double. He didn't shoot that efficiently from the field. He shot 43% from the field and 20% from the three-point line. He was 6 for 6 from the free throw line, but he was 19 for 10. I mean, he had 19 points and 10 rebounds, first double-double. He played a good game, though. Played with energy. Played a decent basketball game. Efficiency wasn't that great, but he played a good basketball game. I'll give it to him. 23 minutes for Obi Toppin tonight. For the Raptors, I mean, they didn't exactly burn it up. They didn't burn it up. They shot slightly better than the New York Knicks, at least from the three-point line, that is. Slightly better. The Raptors on the night, ladies and gentlemen, well, we'll run down the box score. They were led by Gary Trent Jr. once again. We actually talked about this in the pregame show. Don't let Gary Trent Jr. get off Evan Fournier. And he got off. 24 points for Gary Trent Jr., 1 rebound, 1 assist. 17 points and 11 assists for Fred VanVleet. Chris Boucher, 14 points and 8 rebounds. Started getting in his bag on Nerlens Noel. Pascal Siakam, 13 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists. Scotty Barnes, 12 points and 15 rebounds. I don't know. This is where we're at right now, man. Got a caller on the line. Caller, you're live. Tell me what your name, where you're from. What's popping with you?
Hey, what's going on, Sam? Hey, from Queens.
What's going on with you, man? How you feeling?
I'm good. I just wanted to bring some words of encouragement, man, because, the show started on a real somber note, like somebody died. But,
I'm feeling somber right now, man. I ain't going to front.
I just want to let you know, man, it's a rough patch, man. The Knicks are going through a rough patch right now. Every team is going to hit a rough patch at some point in the season. Thank God ours is coming right now at this point. It's going to get better. It's just a rough patch that we're in, man. But I'll tell you this, a decision's going to have to be made. Management's going to have to make a decision. They're going to have to figure out if Randle's our guy going forward. And, if they don't see Randle bringing us a championship, you might as well just cut ties with him right now. Give him the chance to go somewhere else and flourish and win a championship. And let us develop the youth. If you ask me, I think it's time to give Obi the keys to the car. Obi's looking good, man. Obi's definitely an improvement from last year.
Yeah.
So, they definitely going to have to make a decision. But I think what we're going through right now is just a rough patch, man. If you look at last year, we almost have an identical record at this point in the season last year. It's just we got to figure this out. 2 new players. We had Kemba. He's out the lineup. Now we have Fournier. It's looking a little confusing on the floor, but I feel like they're going to get it together, man. They're going to get it together. Definitely will.
I mean, I hope so, but wasn't we supposed to be better than last year, right? Instead of having...
Let me ask you this. I was watching ESPN, and Mike Wilbon said the Lakers is exactly where they need to be at this point right now. The Lakers. Mm-hmm. The Lakers were with everybody that's on that team. They're exactly where they need to be. I don't know what their record is, but they're exactly where they need to be. I don't get that. How the Lakers, where they need to be, playing the way they play with the Knicks, we hit a little patch, and now let's blow it all up. I'm on Real GM looking at the message boards, and, these fans are in a panic, man. We are in a panic. People was just trying to figure out what to do. What's the next move? Right. Get rid of Fournier, get rid of Randle.
Well, see,
trade RJ.
I'm not that person that's like blow it all up. I know there's a lot of people out there that's like that. Blow it up, get rid of everybody, da-da-da-da. I mean, I think that something needs to be done to kickstart the team, and I'm not talking about blowing it up. I'm talking about getting the right pieces in, and I'm not even one that believes that you're going to win a championship with Randle, but I think he can be a good second or third leg on a team that wins a championship. You know what I mean? And if you have a piece,
management has pumped his head up for him to believe he's the number one option, and he's just not it. Randle's a damn good player.
Yeah,
Randle's just not a number one.
He's
Randle
a good player,
is
but he
like
needs
a second fiddle or maybe a third fiddle, but he's not a number one.
I mean, yeah,
and
he needs somebody better
time
than
and time
him.
again, when it's time to close that game out, he can't close it out for us.
Yeah.
We can't have our number one option missing free throws that can ice the game.
Nah.
We can't have our number one option jumping in the air, throwing these crazy passes, and it's getting picked off every time. We can't have our number one dribbling in the double teams getting stripped every time. It's just, he's just not a number one, man. He's not.
Yeah. I mean, and you asked about the Lakers. I mean, the Lakers are 14-13, and I think the reason why he says that they're exactly where they need to be is because they're older, right? And they probably I don't know everything that's going on with the Lakers, but guys in and out of the lineup, you got Russell Westbrook there, Carmelo that's just getting there. So basically he's probably saying
around the league, everybody kind of slumping right now. Atlanta record, Atlanta was right above us. Their record is not too shabby right now. Denver got a full-blown MVP on their team. Their record is not too shabby. I just think, we're just in a rough patch right now, and it's going to get better. Yeah,
I mean, it's a lot of parity. It's a lot of parity across the league, but, it just feels like, I hope it's going to get better. I mean, I am one that believes, there are a lot of swings for any team that plays basketball. There's a lot of swings, right? And you're going to go through rough patches. It's going to get better. It's going to get worse. It's gonna go up and down. It's going to go up and down.
But right now we at the bottom of the barrel right now because the play's not looking too good. The defense is not looking too good. I feel like we're at the bottom of the barrel right now. And the only way to go is up.
The only
once we
thing,
figure it out, once we get to figure Fournier out and how to use him properly, the only way to go is up.
See, the only thing that scares me is that, just there's certain things that when I look at, it just, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they can get a little bit better. I just don't know if they can get better enough.
Like tonight's game is we lost that game because we didn't get any production from Burks. Burks gave us a point. He gave us a point. If we had got a little bit more production from Burks, we probably would have had the game. But it's just we just got to figure it out, man.
The scary
a little
thing.
rough patch. We gonna get through it. But I'm gonna end it like this, man. A lot of people kill me for this, but I think the Knicks need Ben Simmons. Man. I know you're not for it, but
listen, I have
Ben
nothing
Simmons
against
on the Knicks. I guarantee you, he's gonna unlock RJ and he's gonna unlock Obi instantly. I promise you that.
I have nothing against Ben Simmons as a player. I just don't think his value is worth the contract. If we were on if we were like a team that needed what he does to get over the top to win the championship, then I said, okay, let's play the $30 million a year. So you get what I'm saying?
I feel what you're saying.
I mean, listen, if they brought him here, then I'm cool. I'm rocking with him all day long. I just don't know. I just don't think that's the best move at this point. Because now you're investing all of that money in him, unless you're banking on him and you're going to move Julius Randle, or RJ Barrett, and you're banking on Ben Simmons to be that piece, and you're moving one of those two guys. That's the only way, and I don't see that happening.
Somebody's getting moved. If this play continues, I see either Fournier getting moved or Randle's out the door.
I think Fournier might get moved.
Direction.
I think Fournier could end up getting moved. There's just something that don't mix with him. I don't think. We'll see. But hey, my man, I appreciate your time, Ace. Thank you for the call,
yes,
bro.
Sir.
Thank you.
All right, no problem, brother.
Yeah, looking at some numbers behind the game, ladies and gentlemen. You see it up on your screen right now. Let me pull it up for myself so I can get a chance to see it. Read it out to you. All right. Of course, 90. The Knicks only scored 87 points. The Toronto Raptors had 90. 21 assists for the Raptors, 18 for the New York Knicks. Again, 9 steals for the Raptors. They had the same thing last game. 9 steals, 12 steals they had last game. They averaged 9 a game. But it's something we talked about in the game preview. These guys get a lot of deflections, a lot of tips. They muck the game up. They make it ugly. And the Knicks are a team that, if the Knicks are a team that, well, at least last year, they wanted to make it ugly. I don't know how much they want to make it ugly this year, but the Raptors are like what the Knicks were last year, this year, as far as the way that they play basketball. I guess the Raptors played like that last year too. You know what I'm saying? But if you muck it up against the Knicks, man, they might struggle. Like, even, it's a good thing that the Raptors aren't a team that can really score the basketball. The Knicks shot 35.8% from the field. The Raptors shot 34.5% from the field. But then the Knicks only shot 26.5% from the three-point line, while the Raptors shot 34.3% from the three-point line. And that's enough right there to make a difference. They hit 12 threes, I believe it is. And the Knicks hit 9. I mean, you look at that right there. That's 9 points in a tight game like this. That's 9 points that you gave up to the Raptors. In a game like this, man, you can't afford to give up nothing. Raptors, 26 points in the paint. The Knicks, 36 points in the paint. Raptors, 14 second chance points. The Knicks, 15 second chance points. 21 fast break points for the Raptors. 21, 9 for the New York Knicks. And this is because the Raptors get so many deflections. So many deflections. And they can get out on the break because of those deflections. The Knicks were led by Obi Toppin and RJ Barrett in scoring. Both had 19. Right? But this is the first time that Obi Toppin's led the team in scoring, I believe. And the first time he's had a double-double. So big shout out to Obi Toppin. Obi Toppin's finding his way a little bit more into what the Knicks want to do out there on the floor. You see him, I don't want to say he's ISOing because he's not really ISOing, but he's taking his chances to score. You know what I'm saying? He gets the ball, and if he sees his chance to maybe post up, he does what he does. And he's getting more and more comfortable doing that. You know what I mean? So, big shout out to Obi Toppin for that. My man Ron, what's popping, Ron? How you feeling, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
In a rough situation, Ron. We're in a rough situation, man. I don't know what we're doing. I don't know what's going on.
It's really tough because we're so. Over the past few years, we're used to them not playing good basketball and being a tough team to watch. But now that we've kind of gotten spoiled over this last year or so, watching this is tough, man. I'm like, and then every game, not every game, but a lot of these games, there's certain things that they do to maybe this is it. Maybe this is like when they start to turn it around, and then they just man, it's like always something. It's always, hey, look at how great they played for these last 3 quarters, but then they got themselves in a jam in that first quarter, and it's really tough to come back from that. And it's just rough, man. I don't know.
It's rough. It's rough. I gotta watch the game again just to analyze it because I'm I'm sitting there peed off. I'm watching the game, and the Knicks tie it up, then go down 7. Tie it up, go down 7. Finally, they take the lead. Can't hold on to it. Small lead, but can't hold on to it. And then you come down the stretch. Listen, Tom Thibodeau's calling out the plays. Right? We get mad at the players a lot for what's done on the floor, rightfully so, because they make mistakes. But if you were watching the game, you heard Tom Thibodeau scream out, ISO, 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 ISO. And then the ball goes straight to Randle. And I don't think we got anything out of the possession, right? I think we got anything out of the possession. He got triple teamed. I don't remember if he turned it over. I think actually it got slapped out of his hands out of bounds. I think. I'm not sure. right? But that's Tibbs calling it. That's Tibbs calling it. What else are those players supposed to do, Ron? Tibbs is making that call. See, first of all, I personally have a problem with the head coach at this level having to call in all the plays. I have a problem with that. This is not me saying I have a problem with Tibbs. I have a problem with it because it means that you don't have anyone you trust on the floor to actually be the general. And I mean, we know this, but that's an issue. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like that's high school ball to me. I'm sorry. To me, obviously, sometimes the coaches are going to call in the plays, but Tom Thibodeau's doing it all the time. He's calling the plays on the sideline. He's calling the plays. It's not football, right? In football, that happens. Why? Because you have all of this time, to script out your entire series if you want to. You know what I'm saying? You can have your entire first series scripted before you even touch the football field. You got enough time, if your defense is playing well, to script out some things that you want to do. And it's actually the quarterback and the head coach having a conversation because they got mics on. In this game, I feel like, it's just you got to have someone out there that can feel the game and be able to make those calls. And, when you got your head coach calling out every play, on this level, I think that's an issue. That speaks to how your team is built and the players that you put out there on the floor. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. I don't know. And now we got Milwaukee and Golden State coming up. They're both at home, which we haven't played well at home. Milwaukee and Golden State. Both of these teams are playing good basketball right now. Good basketball. The Milwaukee Bucks have worked their way back up to the third spot in the Eastern Conference, 17-10, 8-2 in the last 10. The Golden State Warriors, the best team in the league, at least record-wise right now, 21-4, 8-2 in the last 10. More than likely, we're looking at being 4 games under 500. And then we play the Houston Rockets, who, by the way, are 7-3 in their last 10 games.
Jeez.
We could be looking at 5 games below 500. Does this team, last year's team, clearly we saw that they had it in them to rebound. Does this team, if they go down below 500, does this particular team have it in them to rebound from being 5 games below 500? This team, do you think?
I don't know, Sam. I don't know. This team is not the team from last year for whatever reason. Even though most of the players are the same, it's just something different about this team. I don't know. I can't necessarily see it, man. I don't know how they really deal with adversity. Like last year's team, which I hate to keep saying that, guys, but you know what? That's what we have to go on. And last year was just last year. You know what I mean? So like it's tough not to refer back to that. Like that team, when we had adversity, we kind of staved it off. Like we might lose 2 games, but we win. We might lose a game, we win. And then we had some mini streaks in between. We won 3 or we won 4, and then we had that big one towards the end when we won 9. Like this year, I don't know. We don't seem to have that same thing. I will say one thing that you just mentioned, when you pointed out the whole thing about the coach calling the plays like that, it kind of puts me in a different mindset in regards to Randle. because as I said earlier today, actually, maybe Randle is just doing what Randle is told to do. Like, it may be affecting the team offensively, but if Tibbs says, I want you to do this, and Randle's just going out there and doing it, maybe it's not Randle's fault all the time that some of the stagnation happens on the offense. Maybe it's not his fault that he's ISOing. Maybe that's what the play calls for. Maybe that's what the coach wants. I'm
going to say again, though, even if that's the case, Randle still has to get the ball out of his hands faster. And he's got to.
Right.
I've been seeing too many times now, and maybe he's fallen into this whole midst of confusion. I'm seeing too many times now where he has a good shot and he passes it up to try to either get something better or see if he can make a play, and he passes up the right play.
Right.
Like I said, first half, little short pump fake, 2 dribbles, boom, boom, and he had the pull up. He takes 5 more dribbles to try to get inside and do God knows what, and turns it over.
Mm-hmm.
In the second half, they found him in his zone. He pivoted, had the entire lane in front of him, and kicks it out to Obi. Right? That's a bad. I mean, people say, "Well, he passed it," but that was a bad play because he passed up a better option for a worse option, probably because he didn't recognize that it was a good option in front of him.
It's the coach's fault.
So it's I don't know. Caller, what's going on, man? What's popping with you? Name, tell me your name. Name and where you're from.
This is Joe Neckbone from.
I ain't forget about you,
from
bro.
Bedford-Stuy.
I ain't forget about you. I was coming to get you, man. Go ahead.
It's the coach's fault. The coach need to play them guys instead of letting them sit on the bench. That's why they don't get no time in.
Which guy?
If he would play them, then everybody will get a chance. You don't have to trade nobody. You just got to play them guys. Instead of sitting on there picking these guys and picking that guy, and then none of them ain't doing nothing because they don't get a chance to play. He got to play them. Can't just play who he want to play and that's it. It don't work like that.
Which guys you saying though? Which guys you saying?
All the players that's on the team. He got to play everybody that's on the team. Can't just play these 5 guys all the time. He got to switch and match. Then he'll know who to play. But if he ain't putting nobody in, then he don't know who to play. Let's be for real now. You ain't got to trade nobody. You just got to play the guys that you got. And the guys that you got to make a good team. That's what everybody's missing. Everybody want to get rid of these guys that's not doing anything. They're not doing anything because the coach is not putting them into play.
So you think that's the biggest issue on this team right now?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right.
And sometimes I don't think the coach know what he's doing.
I mean, he's not always making the best decisions. He's not. I don't know if it's the players. Not. I don't know if it's he doesn't have the players or that was the.
He has the players, but he just don't play. Look at Myles. Look at all the other guys that he got.
I hear you. I mean, that was, and I'm a culprit. That was one of the things I really said about Tom Thibodeau last year. He didn't have the horses to run this kind of offense or that kind of offense. Evan Fournier.
Well, he got the horses now, but he just don't use them.
I mean, Fournier is supposed to be one of those horses. You know what I'm saying? I'm not. I'll be honest with you. I don't think he uses them correctly. So
he don't. He don't. I'm gonna agree with you on that. He don't.
I don't think he uses them right.
I don't think he know how to mix and match. He don't know how to put this one in with this one and how to play this one and that one. If your second team is playing good, why the first team can't play like the second team? All they have to do is get the first team like the second team.
Well, I mean,
practice what the second team is doing.
I mean, they got different style of players though, so they can't do exactly what the second team is doing because they just got different style of players on the first team. But I dig what you're saying. I get it.
Well, they gotta find some kind of way to communicate with each other so they can get it popping. Because this don't make no sense. Everybody want to get rid of all the good players that they got there. If you're gonna get a team, you got to start from the bottom. Where you gonna get rid of the good players that you already got, and then you're gonna get some old has-beens. You don't need them. You got these young boys now, and these young boys are ready to go. But he's not doing nothing with them.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Hey, what's your name?
Joe Neckbone.
Joe, I appreciate your time, Joe. Thank you for the call, man.
All right, brother.
Right.
Peace.
Bron, let me ask you this. And this is, when you have, I'm trying to wonder if this is what affected the Knicks last year. Let's say you have a player that you're trying to develop that hasn't really learned how to play the game. You're teaching this player a lot of stuff, and they get better quickly because they're sucking it up, right? They're sucking it up. But then all of a sudden they hit a point where they get better. They got better quick, and now they're getting better, but it's slow. Or they plateau. Do you think, like, Tibbs came in with some structure and his work ethic, and demanded the work ethic from these guys, and because they demanded the work ethic, they made a huge jump, right, like a sponge. But now, that's it. Like you take a sponge and you soak up water, and it can soak up a lot of water, but then once it has too much water, it can't soak up no more water. Right? I mean, do you think it's that kind of issue with this team? And that, they're just not gonna soak up anymore.
That could be the case because, one of the things that happens sometimes in new situations is when you're used to a certain level of dysfunction or things are bad and not going good, when somebody comes in or something changes in the climate and the culture, there's a culture shock and things are refreshing, everything goes good. It seems like euphoria, right. Like everything that could go right is going right, and you just got to keep riding, go on the same path and just keep doing what you're doing, and it's going to work out. And it seems like that's kind of what happened last year. That's what we saw. They just listened to Tibbs. They did what Tibbs wanted to do, and they started to see instant. It's like when you try to lose weight. If you've been eating unhealthy and not working out, as soon as you try to cut back on a couple things and you could just run a lap, do that a little, for a week, you start to see pounds come off instantly, and you start to feel real good about it. And maybe that's the case. Maybe last year the Knicks just bought into the system. It was a real system for once that they had a chance to buy into, learn some principles. They started to get excited because they saw it working against the opposition, and they just kept at it. And then this year, we got a little bit more comfortable with ourselves. We made the playoffs. We haven't made the playoffs in 9 years. So guys were feeling good about things, even though we got knocked out pretty quickly. But at least they felt like, hey, we did something that hasn't been done here in a while. So maybe they start to rest on their laurels and stuff and then feel a little too confident, a little too comfortable. I'm sure guys are still working out and practicing hard, but maybe they weren't doing what they were doing last year. Tibbs kind of alluded to it. I know he threw RJ under the bus, but like I said, I feel like he was talking to the whole team. Maybe just RJ was just caught, Yeah. But like, I think the guys themselves maybe just not working as hard as they were before, because you kind of sometimes in a situation you work hard to get yourself into the shape or into the style that of the coach you're playing for. But once you got it down and you feel like how they want to play and you're in that shape, maybe you start to take off like, oh, I got it now, I'm good, we can do this, we'll work out, do a couple things here, but I'm not pushing the way I was pushing before. I don't know, for whatever it is, this Knicks team is not fighting the way they used to fight. Like, they're taking too much time off in games, whether it be the first quarter, whether it be the third quarter, where it usually happens. They let the foot off the gas, the steam, whatever. They relax too much, and it's hurting us. And should I say hurting them? Because I'm not on the team, but it's hurting them. They're just not. They're digging themselves holes every game. How can you fight out of every single game? Wouldn't it be nice to play a nice, clean, easy game for once? Like, I don't know.
And eventually, you get tired of trying to fight out of these games, or you fight back and then lose still, right? You get tired of it, and it starts to wear thin. It starts to wear down, and then what happens? You know what I'm saying? Then all of a sudden, the season is shot. I'm not saying that's going to happen I worried all season long last year about that happening to the Knicks, but it was a little bit different. I was worried that the Knicks had to work so hard to win games that they would run out of steam down the stretch. I'm a little bit worried now that, you know, the losing close games or losing games that they're supposed to win, you know, will start to wear thin, because I don't think they have the same mental toughness that they had last season. You know, let me get to this call here. Caller, you live. You name me where you're from, please.
Yo, Sim, what up? Hey, what is that?
What's going on? This Ray?
Yo, this Ray.
What's going on with you, man? How you feeling?
I'm doing okay. I just want to take. I want to salute the chat. Salute the platform, guys. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe. Sim, I gotta ask you, man, how are you doing mentally and emotionally? You good?
I'm good. I mean, they're not paying me, so I'm good. I'm a fan. I love the team. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm good. I'm good.
Sim, you might need to look into a sponsor for the show that specializes in therapy for your fan base, because
We might.
you know, it's a little, you know, some people ready to jump out the window, some people ready to jump off the building, and we gotta bring this back into perspective. We need some objectivity in this bad boy, because right now the feelings are just a bit too high octane for even my liking. And I've been a fan of this team for 21 years, so I've been doing this since '91. I already know how this toxic relationship works between this team and me. I totally get it. But I'm going to get to my point real quick. Tonight's game. I said I'm usually in the Bleacher Report community known as Rayology. I said at the very beginning of this game that it's going to come down to a couple things, or I guess one thing. Hustle, energy, effort, and the will to win. Mm-hmm. You're a coach. You know just as well as most people do in the space of basketball and sports that it comes down to hustle, energy, and effort. And that's just something we don't have. Guys have gotten paid. Guys have gotten their money. Guys are having babies, which is totally fine. But there's no edge. We look like Rocky in Rocky 3 against Mr. T. Mr. T had an edge. Rocky didn't have an edge. And that's why he ended up getting his behind whooped.
You know
what I mean? I'm kind of in this space where, you know, with this Knicks team specifically.
But Ray, Rocky came back by the end of the movie.
Okay, maybe next year, Sim, our comeback. I'm sorry. Maybe our comeback is next year. Maybe it is, because your entire conference got better. Yeah. You and I had this conversation already about the parity of the league and how the entire landscape has changed. This play-in has given teams from top to bottom this idea that, all I got to do is make the play-in and I can possibly make the playoffs. So everyone, all the talent around is basically saying, hey, yo, we can get up in this. And this team has no urgency. You couple that with no energy, no heart, no hustle, no effort, the very thing that our team was built on. And for any fan out there right now listening to anything that I'm saying, if you've experienced the 90s Knicks, which is really more my area, and when I came up, when I was Bird and all that different stuff, we were built on hustle, energy, and effort. And it didn't matter about having these big names and all this different stuff. Guys didn't get comfortable. You got out there. We were gritty. We punched you in the mouth. Were we the best team talent-wise? Yeah, you can make an argument here and there. But what you knew was that when you came to play the Knicks, whew, man, you might need an oxygen tank when it's all said and done. You might need to pop a couple ibuprofens and some other things along the way, get your own therapy sessions playing up. But we don't have that, and we're not going to have that for the rest of the season. Why? Because your coach doesn't really, I don't know, it feels like he's kind of lost the locker room. There's a philosophical breakdown between the front office and coaching. You can see that with the players on the court. It's not translated. There is a communication that is significantly off. And I'm just, listen, I'm not going to jump out the window. I'm not sad. I'm not mad. I'm not happy. I'm just.
I feel you.
You know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's just like, yo, why get upset? We don't have the player personnel. And for all the trade, machine theories and all this different stuff, you need to understand a couple of things to the fan base out there. Two things are going to happen. This organization is looking at their young talent. 50% of their team is made up of rookie contracts.
Yeah.
So you got to weigh a couple things. If I'm trading for a star player of any caliber, I'm either giving up my star player in Julius or I'm giving up these kids.
Right.
And if I'm giving up these kids, I'm also giving up picks. I'm selling my future. I'm giving up tax. I'm giving up all kinds of assets just to bring in one star who you are hedging your bets on might work with Julius Randle. Or you can move Julius Randle. And you still have your picks. You still have your future. Not all of your picks, but you obviously still have a lot more that is intact for a long-term build. And this is something that I was trying to highlight to your panel a couple of calls ago when, everybody said, yo, I'm going to die on this hill with Randle. You sure you want to die on this hill with Randle? I'm just saying, like, he's a talented player. No question, but he's not a long-term fit.
The only thing I would say there is wording. I never thought that he was the guy to take you to a championship. I think he's could be the second or third option on a really, really good team, like championship level team. Always thought you had to bring in someone better. When you say long term fit, the only issue I have with the word fit is if you're speaking long term. What is that fit? Like, you know what I mean? Are you just saying he's not the long-term solution? Maybe not,
Well, let's take a look at a couple of things. And then, I know you got other callers and whatnot going on. But he is signed through 2026. He makes $21 million now, $23 million next year, 25, 27, and 30.
Right.
At any point, even at a discounted rate, he is your best chance at getting close to a star's salary. And as I said, if you're a front office, if you're a front organization exec, you're asking yourself the question, am I winning at any period of time with him making 21 all the way to $30 million in 2026? Because if the answer is no, then I need to package him, maybe another salary filler, some picks, and go get me a bona fide number one who will spell out the identity for this team. Because right now, you can't expect to get that identity out of Julius Randle because Julius Randle, even with his glorious season that he had last season, it was one season. One. Out of the 7 seasons he's played, give him credit. All his accolades and everything are very warranted. It was just one. And the direction of this team is like Stephanie had mentioned. Just pick a path. Which path are you choosing? Are you going to compete now, or are we going to continue this build? And the history of the Knicks has always been, we are so thirsty for a star, we are willing to either hold on too long, overpay, or we just don't know when to let go.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to tell you right now, I think the Knicks are in it to win. And I'm not, when I say that, I don't mean that they're trying to win the championship this year. That's not what I'm trying to say. But you don't hire Tom Thibodeau to say we're rebuilding. I just don't think you hired Tom Thibodeau to say we're rebuilding.
So you're selling the kids then, right? You're selling the kids, the future, to bring in that one star, and then what?
No, I'm not even saying that you're selling the kids either. I mean, it depends on how things work out. I think they're still going to try to make the best moves for the Knicks now and later. But I think their mindset is we want to get talent in here and try to win basketball games. I just think that's the mindset of this basketball team. You hired Tom Thibodeau. His contract goes for another 2 years, right? In my opinion, you don't hire Tom Thibodeau. When Leon Rose spoke to Tom Thibodeau, I can guarantee you he said, "Are you trying to win or no?" I can guarantee you that's where the conversation went. Are you trying to win?
Why did the front office go a different direction? Why did they draft? Why did they go that way?
Because you create value with young players, and so now you have enough assets to be able to make moves when they come available and still have something left in the cupboard.
Okay, so trading 101. The first thing you start off when you make an NBA trade is you have to max salary. 5 of the kids you drafted, even with R.J. Barrett, amount to $24.2 million.
Right.
You still have to add a salary filler in that to get something. So hypothetically, let's just say we were going to make a trade for Dame, right? Get Dame up in here, and it's just popping in New York. The problem is Dame makes $39.2 million.
Right.
The kids you have only make 24.2. So I'm still about, what is that, about $14 million off? I still have to add someone in there along with assets because they're a non-free agent destination. So you are selling the farm. You are selling the picks. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Here's the thing. You're right. Okay, but you still do have you have a couple larger contracts, right?
Mm-hmm.
That you can, how much does Derrick Rose make? $14 million right now?
Yeah, he's around 14 with the third-year option. Right. So first of all, you're not going to get rid of Taj or Roach.
Right.
So you're looking at guys like Noel. You're looking at guys like maybe Burks.
But what I'm saying is there's ways.
5 to 7 players and picks along with other assets, maybe even sending cash to get one.
I get it. But what I'm saying is you may not be getting a $40 million guy. I don't know, but I believe that they have enough young players, draft picks. They collected a lot of draft picks. You don't collect 8 draft picks in 1 year without an idea that we're going to move some of these draft picks to try to bring in players. They have movable contracts. So salary cap wise and asset wise, you have movability and flexibility, I think. You know what I'm saying? Now it's about finding the right people to put in place. In my opinion, there's not a player in the NBA that's not tradable. And people argue with me all the time. There's not a player that's not tradable. If the right trade comes along, Julius Randle's gone. If the right trade comes along, R.J. Barrett's gone. Mm-hmm. That's just the way I feel about it. Obi Toppin, quickly, all of them, anybody. If the right trade comes along, they're gone. And I think
I'm sorry.
And I think, the Knicks will always keep, I think the front office will always keep that in mind, and they'll move players if they feel they can get better, no matter who that is. I don't think, I'm not dying on the hill with Julius Randle, R.J. Barrett, Obi Toppin, or any of them. You know what I'm saying? I just want to
you got to keep the young core. You got to keep the young core of RJ, Obi, and IQ to see what they're working with because they're under rookie contracts. They're not eligible for big money for another 2 to 3 years.
I get it, but if
you have to find out what you got there first.
You do, but if the right move comes along for the right player, I'll tell you what. I'm like for example, and I'm not saying go out and do it, but let's just think crazy. Let's just say the Pelicans was trying to get rid of Brandon Ingram, and they said, we want RJ. I'm sorry, I'm doing it.
Well, yeah, I agree with that. But
that's
the problem with Brandon Ingram is he makes too much money that you still have to select a lot of players in order to match and get there with picks. Remember, the idea of adding picks to a trade doesn't account for matching salary, which is, and I'm not saying that matching salary is the number one, the end all be all. You can make some, adjustments around salary, but the ideal thing is to match salary.
I get it. I get that. I was just using that as an example to say,
of course.
I'll break up the young core for a young guy that's 25 years old if it means that I'm going to get better as a team and still have a chance to build and grow for the future. But Ray, I appreciate your call, man. I know we got some other people that want to get in here because people are frustrated. I appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate you too, man. Have a good night.
Good one. Yeah, I mean, I'll continue to say it. The front office is, to me, Ron, called you John, Ron. They're not going to die on a hill with one player. They're going to try to get better, continuously get better, no matter what it is. They're going to try to continuously get better, no matter who that means that they have to trade. That's the nature of the business, and they all understand that. All the players understand that. It's the nature of the business.
Right.
Shout out to Sincere the Genius. He said, start the second unit, they play harder. If you're speaking on simply because they play harder and that's what you want to do, I'll get it. You know what I'm saying? Does it mean that it's gonna equal success? Not necessarily, but it could. It could send a message, I tell you that. It could send a message.
Yes, it would. You know what's interesting, Sim? Is this the first time this year? Maybe it is. I think this is the first time this year, man, that Obi got 24 minutes.
Yeah.
And in those 24 minutes, he gave us 19 points and 10 rebounds. So it does point to the fact that if you play Obi, maybe Obi gives you more production. He seems to be a valuable piece on this team. He's not a stretch three, versatile four like a Paul George type or a Jason Tatum type or something like that, but he's still pretty good at the way he plays basketball in his own lane. And if he could he needs more time. If he can consistently work on his outside shot in the offseason, get a mid-range going maybe, but really, focus on them corner threes and just being able to stretch the floor a little bit more consistently, he could really be something special for the team. Not superstar, but the best Obi that he can be, and we could use that on the team. And hey, if the Knicks ever decide to move on from Randle, not saying that they should, but he might turn into something that will make the whole idea a lot easier to stomach. But I don't think. Look, I'm going to go back and forth with this. I don't think the Knicks are the team that we thought they were earlier in the season. Somebody in the chat wrote or put in the chat, "Are the Knicks pretenders?" Maybe they are. Maybe they are. But it's not, like I said, I still think this Knicks team can do some things, but they might be, Sim, because this Eastern Conference is a beast.
Excuse me. Yeah, I just wonder, have they cracked already? Or they could still do some things, but it's gonna happen up here. And I just don't know if they have that mental toughness to get through it. This team. Last year's team, I think, had it. There was something about that team that was glued together. This team, it just doesn't feel like they have the same toughness about them. And maybe I'm not placing the blame on Kemba and Evan Fournier, right? But maybe it's their personality of those players didn't mesh with this team. Maybe you needed to bring in two guys that equaled the toughness of last year's team. You know what I'm saying? A point guard that just had that toughness and grittiness about him. Kemba's not really that guy. Fournier's not really that guy. And maybe you needed, if you're upgrading from Elfrid Payton, you're upgrading from Reggie Bullock, but you needed to find those guys maybe that still fit that toughness because maybe their attitudes are just a little bit too laissez-faire. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't mix. You know, it's like oil and water. You know what I mean? Maybe that's part of it. Because it seemed like the whole team last year had a certain edge and attitude about it. You know, I don't know. I'm grasping for straws.
I hear you, man. Listen, that's all you can do, man. All you can do is you got to try to make some sense of it because you know what? As a person looking at stuff that's going on in front of you, you got to try to make some type of sense of it. I understand, man. I understand. Because, I get it.
You know what? Let's say right now, okay, in another dimension, the Knicks were still where they are now, 2 games below 500. But every single game they played, they were right there. And they didn't have these crazy lapses. And you could see them and they played tough. And you could see them and say, they got a losing record right now, but it just needs to click. It just needs to click. Or you know, wait till the offense really starts humming or something like that. But you see them playing well. You're not seeing that, though. And that's what, you know, the trend isn't there. You know, you can look at a team, even last year's team early, you know, could look at it and be like, yo, but they're playing good basketball. It just hasn't hit like that yet. Or they needed another piece to bring it out, and that was Derrick Rose. But with this team right now, it's not looking like it's really clicking. And at one point, I thought that the offense was on the verge, and then Kemba Walker got taken out, and now it's like, you know, they're trying to figure out what they're doing, you know. And I'm on record as saying, you know, I was for the move, you know, but I did think that it came at a time when they were just maybe starting to do something. You remember I put the video out talking about Kemba Walker and Julius Randle, you know what I'm saying? And if that starts to click, would it open up the rest of the offense? Then right after that, boom, he's out the lineup.
Right.
You know, so I don't know. The trend just doesn't seem to be there. But caller, you live. Tell me your name. What's popping with you? Caller, you there?
Hey, son, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on with you, brother? How you feeling?
Doing all right. You're still polished, my brother. You're still polished.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
This game was frustrating. This is the second game I can remember in all the years watching Knicks games where I just started looking at the females in the crowd, man. No joke.
Okay.
I'm serious. I mean, matter of fact, if you're going to watch the replay of tonight's game, look for an Asian woman of Asian descent looking good. She even looked at the camera. It's on a possession with Barrett without inbounding about third quarter.
Okay.
That's how bad this game, frustrating this game was. It enlightened me on something with the NBA game nowadays. I get you want to work 3-point shots in. Cool, fine. Even growing up, I was against the 3-point shot when it was starting to come in, things of that nature. But it seems like, particularly Knicks, everybody wants to get that 3-point shot versus just simply, to me, doing the basic of just getting into the paint. We all know you go in the paint, you're going to get clobbered. If I'm wrong, correct me now, please.
No, you're right. You're right.
You get clobbered, what's next? You go to the line.
Right.
Shoot free throws.
Right.
I think it was the last play of the game, was Barrett. He got inside, but he dishes back out to Randle. You want to tell me that's the play Tibbs wanted? I get it in terms of winning the game, but I'd still take the beating and go to the line. And even still, strategically, depending on how good a free throw shooter Barrett is or whoever, you know, if you got a bad player who can't shoot a lick of free throws, that's your man. That's your target. Send his butt to the line.
Right.
But I don't see too many teams taking advantage. If they would get so close to the basket, I'm thinking they're going to shoot, but they dish it out. I mean, I understand that too, but for all the effort you put in, please, I mean, it's frustrating, man. And I've been watching NBA, the Knicks particularly, since at least 1971, before they won the 73 championship, man. So I've seen the game evolve. And like I said, I was against the three-point shot, but I get it now. The only reason is because, believe it or not, I wasn't a fan of the ABA, and I was kind of against the NBA trying to take elements from that game because I didn't care for the ABA, but I wasn't watching the ABA games. The only ABA game I really watched was when the Nets won their championship. Mm-hmm. But other than that, the NBA game was cool for its time, that era. Now it's nice, exciting, but the way they run offense, man, it's tough to stomach for me, man. Really, Sim.
Nah, I know. Listen, I did see something a little bit different today that I thought was all right. For the most part, the Knicks do the same thing. But I did see Julius Randle and Derrick Rose running a little bit of screen and roll. Right? And it did help get Julius Randle a couple of good looks right at the basket. And I hope they continue to do the same, continue to do that.
Yeah, no, that would be helpful. Hey, another point that you brought up about Tibbs calling plays, and to your point, obviously he doesn't feel comfortable with his guards running plays. Right. Not to mention, to a degree, you kind of tip off your opposition, right?
Right.
So you see that doesn't fly with me.
Yeah, because in that situation, Randle lost the ball out of bounds. They were taking the ball and they were inbounding the ball. It was right after the ball hit off of Fred VanVleet's foot, and the Knicks got the ball off of the rebound. Right?
Yeah. I remember that play.
And you hear him screaming out, ISO, ISO, ISO. Who else? Who are they ISOing to? They knew exactly what was going on. And as soon as Randle caught the ball, three guys was right there.
Thank you.
Three guys was right there. That's why you got to have that floor general out there making plays, making things happen. Because let's say, for example, and obviously we don't have him, Chris Paul was out there. And Tibbs yelled out, ISO, ISO, ISO. And Chris Paul would have seen, this ain't it. We're going to go in another direction. Right?
Man.
You got to have a guy on the floor that does that, and the Knicks just don't.
I agree. I've never known a team not necessarily have such a floor general. Looking at the quote-unquote future of the Knicks, how do you see this Kemba Walker situation working out, let alone the rest of the other young guys, like number 45? I like to see more of him, to be honest. I like to see him and Toppin get together doing something.
I think Kemba's going to end up on another team.
Okay,
that's what I think. I think he's going to end up someplace else. That's what I think. I think it's going to end up there. I don't think Thibodeau is going to go back and put him back in the lineup. If he did, he did. I'd be okay with that too. I just want to see the Knicks win basketball games, however they get there. But I think Kemba's probably going to end up someplace else, through a trade. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Kemba already knows that he's going to be moved someplace. And the discussion has already taken place, and that's why he was cool with sitting out. You know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, listen, you're going to be moved anyway. We want to try to do this, that, and the third. This guy might be coming in. There's a possibility of this, that, and this and that. And so he's like, okay, I'll just rock with it till it happens. You know what I'm saying?
What team you think could use him? And keep in mind, even though I kind of wish he would stay in terms of quote-unquote a veteran presence, him and Rose, for these young guys, but I get what you said. Makes perfect sense. What team could you see him going to?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. You read that the Knicks have interest in Myles Turner.
Okay. All right.
Right. Could he be on the way to Indiana? I don't know if I don't really know what their roster construction or what they're feeling. Do they want a backup guard? Or I don't know. Or maybe, if everything is true about what's going on, maybe Malcolm Brogdon has come up in conversations too. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know what his contract is, but who knows? who knows? Who knows what it could be? But I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if that conversation has already been had with Kemba and his agent, and they're just waiting for that time to come. Because remember, they can't move. They wouldn't be able to move Kemba or any of the players they signed until the 15th, which is just a couple days away. When it's
in regards to
next
the,
Wednesday.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying next Wednesday.
All right. In regards to the 15-man roster, they started that 3 seasons ago, and have you seen it really make any difference to the rosters? Because most coaches play 9 deep at best, right?
Say that again? I didn't catch everything. I didn't catch everything you were saying.
In regards to the 15-man roster.
Uh-huh.
They started that, 2 seasons ago?
About 2 seasons ago, yeah.
All right, because most coaches tend to go maybe, 8, 9 deep?
Right.
So, I mean, what was the league's attitude in regards to expanding rosters?
As far as expanding rosters?
Yeah, to that 15-man limit. Because I was surprised.
That 15-man limit. I don't know. I think last year, with everything with the pandemic, they were talking about expanding the roster to maybe 17.
Whoa.
Oh, but I don't think they're doing that now. I think that was just for last year.
Oh, okay. All right. The pandemic situation. All right, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And
right.
They decided to keep it. Ooh.
Yeah. But hey,
because naturally, then who's not going to play or who's going to play type of situation.
Right.
I mean, I have nothing against it, but again, who's not playing, who is not being developed, since that's the buzzword with our team, and that's what the call a few moments back made. He made a great point. Develop what you got. I mean, I'm as frustrated as I am. I'm not trigger happy, but let's see what these guys can do.
Yeah. Hey, my man, I appreciate your call. I'm hoping the Knicks can turn it around. We got a tough stretch. The next 2 games are tough. Milwaukee and Golden State.
No kidding.
So
especially Warriors. Oh man.
Yeah. So we could hit. We could hit the bottom. We could hit the bottom.
Doesn't come back.
Yeah, we could hit the bottom, man. We'll see. But hey, my man, I appreciate your call.
Still polished, Sim.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you. Right. Yeah, Ron, we could hit the bottom, man. We could be at the bottom of the bucket. Crabs in the barrel.
It was right there. It's right there, man. Listen, at this point, I'd be happy if look, I don't think the Knicks are going to be able to get who we want as a franchise-altering point guard anytime soon. I think that's probably going to have to be – we're going to have to focus on that somehow and try to find that through the draft. I don't know if that even exists in this year's draft coming up. But somehow we need to target that so that way if we can't draft that person, we figure out a way to trade for that person. Like we got to go all in because we need that going forward. But right now, I'd settle for us trying to throw whatever we can to pull Marcus Smart or somebody like that away from Boston, a Pat Beverly. But I prefer a Marcus Smart because at least Marcus Smart gives you almost 6 assists a game with that toughness, can score a little bit. Like, I think he would be a great guy to help, cultivate and mentor somebody like Deuce, maybe even help quickly out a little bit, so that you're still helping develop the guys you got on your team while you're still looking for that number 1 guy to come in. I think the Knicks should think about that. Plus, I mean, if you bring Marcus Smart here, it's not like he's going to hurt our team. If anything, he gives us a little grit level, and I definitely think we'll play a little better basketball. Is he necessarily the facilitator we're looking for? Maybe not. But you know what? I'm to be shocked if the Knicks are able to get anybody that we would really want to see in here as fans. So I would hope that they can at least pull off something like that and maybe get yourself a stretch 3, that plays defense, a 3-and-D guy that could give us a chance.
We're bringing in a lot of guys.
No, we need some. I think we need 3 pieces, to be honest with you, but I'd be happy with 2. Because we also could use a big who can score. You don't have to shoot threes. I'm done with that whole he's got to be able to stretch the floor. No, he needs to be able to score, man. Can we get whatever happened to Emeka Okafor? I'm sure he's somewhere. We need something.
I don't know about. He's like overseas somewhere.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Where's our Chris Copeland?
Would you be happy with Myles Turner at the center spot?
You know what? All year up until recently, I was like, yo, Myles Turner would be a good look for this team. I could see how we could use him. But to be honest with you, I think the price tag for Myles Turner it might be a little steep, because I don't know. Myles Turner is kind of inconsistent in his own right. He seems to show up against the Knicks, but I've heard a lot of chirping from Indiana people. One of my close friends is an Indiana fan, and he hates Myles Turner. I'm like, yo, I don't know, man. Myles Turner seems like a pretty good basketball player. His defense is strong. He can score a little bit, and sometimes he's pretty big for them. But I think what his point was, the marriage between Myles Turner and Sabonis is not a good one.
Right.
So how could you bring Myles Turner to New York and deal with Randle when Randle and Sabonis are similar type players? I don't think that could work. I don't know, because there's obviously something there.
But I don't think that between Turner and Sabonis it was an issue between them two. I think what Myles Turner was saying is, he put his offense to the side because I guess Sabonis was the number one guy or whatever it is. And then, you got Malcolm Brogdon there. So he's kind of been placed in as just a role player. I don't know if he'd be any much more. I think he'd be more than that on this team because we never had, we don't have a center that can shoot.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think he'd be more than that on this team, at least a little bit, you would hope. You know what I mean? I would take Myles Turner on this team. He's still just 25 years old. He's making $18 million this year, $18 million next year. He's 25 years old. He gives us something in the offense that we just don't have, with that at that center spot. One of the best shot blockers in the league, can rebound the basketball. I think he can do a lot. Would he get his offensive, whatever he wants to do offensively, would he accomplish that? I don't know. Maybe not. But right now, with the way our centers are in and out the lineup, we need some kind of consistency there. And I'll gladly move Mitch or Nerlens to get Myles Turner.
I would do that, yes. But if it takes one of those situations where we got to give up that and draft picks, and I don't know how I would feel about it, because I just think that there's just certain things about Myles Turner that might put us in the same situation that we in currently. Plus, look where he's coming from. Indiana's got him, Sabonis. They've got an actual good point guard in Brogdon, and they still have issues over there where Indiana wants to kind of blow it up. So,
yeah.
But I hear you. It would still help us over here. We would be better than we are now.
I think we would be better. I think we'd be better than we are now. Still, it doesn't address the point guard issue. And I know people keep saying, we got a point guard, we got Derrick Rose, we got 3 point guards on the bench and all of this, but clearly who we have ain't getting it done.
Facts.
Now,
and another thing, Sim, the other thing is, if we did get Myles Turner, then that puts the onus on us finding that other player to bring in that is that leader type, because Myles Turner is not a leader.
No.
So we got to bring it. We got to find a leader somewhere.
Right. You got to find that guard that is just a leader that can put everybody in their place. I don't know where we get it. I don't know where we get it. I wouldn't mind Marcus Smart. I think he fits. I think he fits the temperament, and I think he fits the rugged style of play, and can probably, at least on some level, be a guy that helps to delineate the offense.
Yeah, and let me tell you, although I will tell you, see this, it's why I have certain reservations about Myles Turner, but if you bring in Myles Turner and bring in a Marcus Smart, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that for now. That definitely gets us to a better spot.
better spot, and we'd have that toughness because Marcus Smart would bring that toughness from the point guard spot, and that would be some toughness right there. I don't know. We'll see. We got 5 days until that trade window opens up, and then we'll see. As we start hearing rumors, we'll begin to get an idea of where the Knicks are going and what they're thinking. I don't know.
Yeah, man. I mean, they still kind of got a bunch of guards over there, and I've been always referring to Sacramento, but Charlotte's got a bunch of guards over there too. I mean, I wouldn't mind taking one of their guards off their hands.
See, the issue is, like Ray is saying, with so many teams that can get into that play-in and possibly get into the playoffs, teams might be a little bit nervous about moving unless they just made it up in their mind. This is it. It's not happening. We're breaking this thing down. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's tough to say, but listen, we're gonna hear from Tom Thibodeau. All right. I haven't heard the post-game press conference yet. Have you?
I heard a little of it. So yeah, I didn't hear the whole thing. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So let's check this out. I want to hear what Tom Thibodeau has to say. I know he's probably peed off.
That final possession.
Well, there's multiple options on that play. They were in a zone, so you have to cut the open area, but you got to catch, and get it off quick, so at the time. But, the second shot hurt us.
Yeah. Overall, in this one, Coach, you don't get the win, but your defense was much better tonight. You held them to under 35%, 90 points, 19 points in the second and third quarter, just 21 in the fourth. How would you describe what you got defensively?
Well, again, it was a shame not to come out of here with a win, but the way we started the game really hurt us. So we got in a big hole, had a fight, and then we downsized to get more shooting onto the floor, and then the rebounding hurt us at the end. Our turnovers hurt us in the first quarter.
What was the difference? You mentioned the turnovers. You had 10 in the first half and then just 3 in the second.
Yeah, took much better care of the ball. And I thought we played really well for 3 quarters. The second, third, and fourth, bench came in, gave us a big lift. Second half, played well. Maker missed league. RJ made a good play. Jules had a great look at it, in and out. You live with that. But the second shot, that hurt us. That hurt us.
New career high in points and rebounds for Obi tonight. Are you seeing a difference in his confidence recently?
He's worked hard, so he's always been a confident guy. He's still, there's still a long way to go, but his progress has been steady, and overall very pleased with him.
What would you pick out as what you're pleased by?
Just his work. He's still, he's got to work at being an all-around player, and I see that work every day. I see how he approaches it, and he's a great worker, great kid. So I'm not surprised that he's improving.
All right, we'll now take a couple off Zoom.
Ian Bigley.
Hey, Tommy, what do you see from Obi, like the way he seemed to impact the game tonight? In your eyes, is he starting to make the case for an increased role or a different role?
No, well, if he plays well, he plays more. It's that simple. You have to earn what you get.
Mark Berman.
How tough is this year with Obi Rowe? Was pretty tough after making the decision.
We can't hear you.
Somebody tell Berman to get his internet up. Come on, man.
Mark, can you repeat that? You're faded in and out on that.
They said, how tough is it to have to take him out of the game late? I know he missed a couple of threes, but you still took him to the bench late.
Yeah, and it was basically they were playing zone, And so we had, we thought we got behind a little, and we wanted to add more shooting onto the floor. But overall, I thought he did a lot of great things. That's how we got going, running the floor, hustling, his all-around play. I thought he did a really good job for us.
Steve Popper.
You mentioned turnovers in the first quarter, but what else did you see there at a 20-point lead 9 minutes in?
Yeah, just a lethargic start and no control of the ball, and then the turnovers, you put them in the open floor. That's what they're great at, and so you have to own your space. You have to tuck the ball. You have to be fundamentally sound. They're going to play you physical, and you got to be ready for that.
Rick Cass. Unmute, Fred, sorry.
Sorry. Tom, the rebounding issues that you guys have with the small lineup, is that something you just kind of have to chalk up to its reality? You're playing small, or is there something you guys can do better at?
Well, I think you need more gang rebounding, obviously, and you got to find a body when you're small. You're giving up size, and they're very quick to the ball. So if you're not making contact and you're leaking out, and sometimes we have a tendency to do that, we take off early to try to get into the open floor, and we're vulnerable inside because we're small. And so that, and that being said, we out-rebounded them, but we gave up costly ones when it counted the most.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand up, Steph. Last one.
When you talk about the costly rebounds, are you referring to obviously the 2 ones right before Gary Trent's 3-pointer? Those seem like long kind of rebounds. You think that having a big guy under there would help?
Yeah, well, and that's what I'm talking about. And it's not just big guys. When you're small like that, everyone's got to find a body. You can't take off, or you can't stand and stare. You got to turn and check, because the way people shoot, there's going to be a lot of long rebounds, and that's your guard's responsibility. But oftentimes, you're seeing offenses are inverted where the big guys are out. So you have to go and find a body, and that's what we didn't do. And so that has to be corrected.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
Tom Thibodeau, yeah, turn and check. Turn and check. That's what you got to do. Turn and check. Find a guy, put a body on him. Obviously, they didn't do it tonight because there was that one possession where they got 3 offensive rebounds, and finally Gary Trent Jr. knocks down the 3. And, that was a big possession right there. The Knicks needed to – you corral that rebound, you come down the other end and score, and this game is probably different, I think.
Yeah. We were out of position a lot for them long rebounds after those shots that Toronto was taking. Long rebounds are always tough, but, after you start to see 1 or 2, you start to say, okay, maybe I need to be, moved over a little bit, especially, crunch time when every rebound is important and you're trying to stop them from getting second chance opportunities. I don't know. It's tough, man. There's a lot of coulda, woulda, shoulda stuff, but yeah, right, that was tough.
Right.
That was tough.
It's a lot of coulda, woulda, shoulda, and it ends up being the same stuff night in and night out. Is it the players? Is it the coach? It's hard to say. It could just be both. I don't know.
And the funny thing, Sim, is down the stretch, a couple of the plays that they did run were actually not bad. They turned out okay. Like, I think there was a play where an inbound play where the Knicks ran around and they needed a shot, and it was an inbound pass to Mitch, and Mitch went up for the dunk, and Mikhailuk blocked him.
Yeah.
Like, first off, the 6'5" Mikhailuk should not be blocking the 7'3", 7'2" Mitchell Robinson, who has athletic hops. But that just shows you a little bit of where Mitch is now compared to what he was last year. Like, so that weight has definitely hurt him a little bit, man. He don't lift the way he lifted before.
Right.
Like, he's still explosive, but it's just not the same.
Not
what I mean? It was different.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Sherman M says, how can we stop Obi from leaking out? He says leaking out is a bad play. I only think it's a bad play in certain, it depends on the situation. I don't think it's a bad play. Like, if your guy shoots the ball and you leak out, I think that's a good play. Right? My guy shoots the three, and instead of me, going in for the defensive rebound, I leak out. I don't have a problem with that, because a lot of times the guy who shot it, he's still there with his hand up. You know what I'm saying? Following through, or maybe going in to get a rebound. And we get the rebound, we got a guy down the court. Boom. You know what I'm saying? I think, Obi had 10 rebounds tonight. Played 23 minutes, he had 10 rebounds. He was helping, he was hitting the glass. I think you do got to have your guards. Your guards got to be aware and be ready to rebound when the ball is long. A lot of threes coming out. You got to be able to rebound. This is just me, but I teach my players to create a wall under the basket with 3 players, 2 on each box and 1 in the center of the floor. I have somebody guarding the foul line area, and I have somebody running across the 3-point line area. So we have guards able to get those long rebounds. That's just how I try to do it. But you got to teach your guards, and guards got to know that they got to be ready to grab those long rebounds. And all of those rebounds were long in that possession.
Yeah.
Sherwin said, "Who?" Sherwin said, "Who gets the rebound?" Right? If Obi's leaking out, Obi's not always going to be the tallest guy on the floor, right? So if Obi's leaking out, you will hope you still got Randle under there. You might have Mitch under there, right? Nolan's Noel. You got to have some other guys that can rebound. If you send one leaking out and you got 4 on the glass. Most of the time they're going to have their shooter who maybe didn't hit the glass, and they probably got one other guy who's got floor balance. So they probably only got 2 guys hitting the glass. We should be able to rebound the ball if we got one guy leaking out, in my opinion. But, I don't know. Anyway, Ron, I'm about to get up out of here, man. You got any last words, man?
No. I just had my question. You just answered it, because I was wondering why Sherwin had said that. Like, what was it that he thought was happening? But he pointed to it about Obi not rebounding.
Yeah.
But yeah, Obi played good. He had 10 rebounds. I think he did everything he needed to do. And the other thing, Sherwin, let's not forget the Knicks were one of the worst teams in transition basketball last year. So Obi leaking out and doing what he's doing this year has helped the team as far as getting fast breaks going and stuff of that nature. But I hear you. I guess, man, look, the Knicks just need to kind of keep doing what they did in the last 3 quarters of the game tonight, but play 4 quarters of basketball and play with a sense of desperation. Mitch said it in the press conference. I'm sure the team doesn't love when people are that honest, but they're desperate. They need to play desperate. Like every game, every quarter, every minute matters. That's how they need to start playing. We'll go from here. We'll see what this team is made of.
Yeah, we'll see. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate the time. Rough night for the New York Knicks. Lost to the Toronto Raptors 90-87. And we got 2 tough games coming up. Milwaukee and Golden State. The Knicks could very well be 4 games under 500 within the next week. And then Houston is hot. They got to play Houston too. Anyway, I'm out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you putting up with us. Wallowing over the New York Knicks. We're out, man. Be peaceful. Spread love.
This is NBK. Nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Postgame reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the